Hello everyone. I think we are live now. Today we'll be doing a Monster Train modding tutorial video. What we'll be going over is how to make a simple card via Trainworks. We'll be making two kinds of cards. The first one will be a simple spell card. The second one will be a simple unit card. So let's talk about first what we've learned already. You may have already watched the tutorial video from last week's stream on Shiny Shoe's account, where Mark made a simple mod called Frank, if I recall correctly. So we're going to start from that area. I've already got a project set up here in Visual Studio. The project I've named Nyancat because that's what we're going to be using for our unit. And we're going to be building this out using Trainworks. So you might be asking, what is Trainworks? Trainworks is a modding framework that is created by the Monster Train community, including myself, for helping out with creating Monster Train mods. It turns out that modding Unity is kind of a pain in the butt. However, there's a lot of groundwork that we can lay out that can make things a lot easier. And we've already done that for a lot of the common use cases. And that should save everyone who wants to add content to the game a lot of time. To be clear, Trainworks is specifically geared towards adding new content to the game. So if you're just looking to make a quick UI patch or a little bit of a code tweak or to modify existing content in the game but not add anything new, then you probably won't need to use Trainworks. But if you're looking to add new cards, new relics, new clans, new enemies, new units, new spells, new graphics, anything like that, where you're putting in new content into the game, Trainworks is going to save you a butt ton of time. So you might see on the left here that I have the Steam Workshop up. For those of you who are ready, you should be seeing this shortly in your own Steam. I think at the time of the broadcast it'll be 1 week from now. But if you're watching this later, it should already be there in your workshop. So make sure that you go and subscribe not only to the mod loader, but also to Trainworks, the modding framework. That will download Trainworks as DLL into your Steam Workshop folder, which you will need to both link into your project, and you will need to run any mods that use Trainworks. For example, my own Arcadian clan, plug. But we're not talking about that today. Let's get to making cards. So Trainworks is a modding framework that has a large variety of managers and builders. You use managers to manage custom content, and you use builders in order to add custom content of your own. So what we'll be doing today is we'll be making two separate classes, and those will have builders inside them. If you want to know more about Trainworks, there is a GitHub. All the code is on there. There's also a wiki with some nice tutorials so you can get started. So you can take a look at that as well just by going to the Monster Train Discord and asking in the modding channel or checking the pins there, or by going onto GitHub and Googling it under the name Monster Train API. In the Steam, it also has a link to the GitHub repo. You can see it says GitHub repo right here in the mouse over, but also in the description. So once you've gone onto Steam and subscribed to Trainworks, you will now need to add Trainworks into your project. So to do so, simply right-click on Dependencies in your solution browser, go to Add Project Reference, go to Browse, and we can go find it. We're going to go find it together. So to find it, go to your program files. Wherever Steam is installed, find Steam. In Steam, go to Steam Apps, then Workshop, then Content. Monster Train's ID number is 1102190. You'll get used to seeing this number. If you're working with modding, this is going to be a place that you visit fairly often. So we go into 1102190, and then here it has a list of all of the mods. I happen to have a local copy of Monster Train modding on my device, but you may have to look through these folders for the Monster Train modding, which should be this one, actually. No, this is skip intro FMV. Here we go. This one, yeah, Monster Train modding API.dll. We're going to use my custom version, but in the other build, you should use the other version. So once that's in, just hit OK, and that should be added to the project references. The next thing you'll need to do in order to tell the game that you are using the DLL is you'll need to add a new line here at the top called BepIn dependency. BepIn dependency auto-completes just like that. And then you need to put in api.modding.train.monster. You only need to do this once for each project, and then it's done. So now we are basically done, and Monster Train Modding API, as it's called here, or Trainworks, the name is getting updated, will be available here for you to use. So, how do we use it? First of all, in order to use it, you will need to add a using item here, which is using Monster Train Modding API. We will also probably need some other namespaces later, but we can leave that for now. The API comes with a few things that are very useful. The first is initializable. Initializable. And you'll see there's a little red squiggly here. Whenever you see the red squiggly, you can go to this light ball and it'll tell you where it's from. You can see here that it's in Monster Train Modding API.interfaces. So once we load that in, we can implement the interface, and you'll see that there's an initialize function here. The initialize function is called after Monster Train has loaded all of its content in, but before it does anything with the content. So this is a safe time to add your own content in or to modify Monster Train's existing content. This is basically the place where you should initialize your mod. Right now, we're not going to do anything in here, but we're going to make some cards, and then we're going to add them in here, and that is where they're going to be created. Right after Monster Train has done everything and right before we do things. So let's get started and add a new card. I will note there are some Visual Studio templates that are available for making new cards as well, but today we're going to do it from scratch. It's not too difficult, and it should get you more familiar with the process. So we are going to add a new file. Why can I not add a new file? Here we go. Add a new item. And we're going to add a new class. And we're going to rename our class. What are we going to rename it? We're going to rename it Nyanspell. Yes, we want to rename the class in here. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a very simple spell card. So to make a spell card, you need to have some sort of static function that makes the card for you and then registers the card. That's how we make cards in Monster Train. It's equivalent to making a prefab in Unity if you're familiar with Unity, but instead of making it with a point-and-click interface, you have to make it with text. So, public static void. I usually just call it make, but you can call it whatever you like. So the first thing we have to do is we have to make a card data builder. I call mine, let's call it, let's just call it card for now. So everything in Monster Train, and Trainworks has data builders, and that is where we're going to create new things. You'll see there's red squigglies. As always, just click on the little light bulb so that we can add in the Monster Train API reference for Trainworks. Okay, so what we have to do is we have to build a card, and we're using a unique syntax here, which is to say we put our card as a variable. Here's the type of the card. You can also use var if you prefer. And then after that is our new card data builder. Okay, and then instead of doing regular braces, we use curly braces so we can enter all of the properties. Now, you probably have no idea what a card needs to do, but that's okay because tab complete exists. What you're going to be doing a lot when you're working with Monster Train modding is using tab complete to see what's in a particular thing. So if we just delete and then press space again, we can look at all of the properties of card data builder and see all of the things that are here. If you mouse over them, they'll also all have information inside them, or if you highlight them, they'll have information inside them that tells you what they do. So we're just going to fill in some basic properties of the card. So the first thing we want is cost. So we're going to make the Nyan spell cost 1. We're going to go ahead and add a card ID to it. Card ID is a required parameter. This is how the game identifies your card. We're going to go ahead and call it Nyan spell. Likewise, we can enter name. Nyan spell. So this will just enter the name. If you want to use a localization file, then if you type name, you'll see that there's name key. And name key you can use to pull an item from a localization file. You can do this either from one inside the game or from your own localization file, which you can import via Trainworks using the localization manager. We're not going to cover that today. Today we're just going to put in a string right here called name. We're also going to add a description. And the description is going to be, let's see, rainbow goes boom for attack damage. You'll notice that there are some square brackets here. The square brackets denote variables or icons that you can pull in to text on the cards, or any text in the game actually, via these special codes. There's a list of all the special codes on the Trainworks wiki. So you can go ahead and take a look at that, which again you can find from the Trainworks page on Steam or via GitHub in order to take a look at all of those things. Attack here puts a little picture of swords. No problem. Some more things that we need. Let's see. We're going to need an asset path. So asset path is the path that goes to your particular image that you need for the card in this case. It is relative to where the DLL of your mod is going to be built to. So we're just going to put everything in the same folder for now. We're going to call this Nyan spell portrait. .ping. I've prepared these in advance. That said, it should be fun. So we have Nyancat with the picture, we have a name, and we have a description. Now we have to talk about the sorts of things that the cards do. So first of all, let's add card pool IDs. Card pool IDs is where you can find the card in the game. The big pool here is called Mega Pool. So, okay, let's go over what I just did here because that was a little bit fast. So card pool IDs, if you look at it, come on, tab complete. Card pool IDs, it's a list of strings. So we need to make a new list of strings. So we go ahead and do that, and then we need to enter the pools in there. What are the card pools in the game? Who knows, right? Monster Train Trainworks framework has you covered. So if we go using monster train modding API dot constants. We should do using static. So for constants, we use static for reasons, but you can see that it has a list of all sorts of vanilla things so that you don't have to memorize weird long strings of code, which are the Unity GUI IDs, which refer to the Unity objects. Instead, you can call them by name. So we're going to go ahead and get vanilla card pool IDs. And once we've added that in, then we can have a list of these. And I know that Megapool, for example, is the pool for all of the end of battle card rewards. So we're going to go ahead and add Nyanspell into the Megapool. That said, we probably won't be finding these cards ourselves, but there it is. We're also going to be setting target's room to true. There's a variety of other settings you can do here, but I'm showing off some of the most common ones. So I say probably 95% of the cards that you use are going to be using these fields or similar fields. If you're like me and you're making a lot of cards for a custom clan, you probably want to abstract some of this out into a different function and make your life a little easier. But if you're only making a few cards, you can just fill them in like this. So let's get to the good stuff. So the good stuff here is effect builders. You'll see when I tab complete, there is this effect builders. Effect builders is what do cards do? And so make a new list here. You can just tab complete your way through this. And then use the curly braces again. We're using curly braces all of the time from now on. Just believe in them. Believe in their power. And then we add to this a list of all of the effects that we want our card to do. We're just going to do one effect today. But again, we can use tab complete to make a new card effect data builder. So this is a list of card effect data, and this is the card effect data builder. And then we go ahead and make a new card effect. So the important thing for card effect data builder is effect state type. You can also use effect state name. Effect state type is a little bit easier because it allows you to tab complete. So how you do this is you put type of and then card effect. So we got to talk a little bit about code of the game. So if you go and open up your decompiler, I use ILSpy, but you might be familiar with other C# decompilers. You can load the game in by grabbing the assembly C# in the monster train directory in your Steam apps file. You can see it's here, Steam apps, common, monster train data, managed, assembly C#.dll. When you find it, it has a list of all of the classes in the game. So every effect that a card can do is called card effect something, and there is a huge list of them here. Choosing one of these can do things. For example, well, they have names that give good examples. This one adds a card in battle. This one here adjusts the current energy. This one here buffs a unit, gives them extra damage. This unit here, card effect damage, does damage. That's the one we're going to be using today. So you can also tab complete them here by going card, effect, and then you can scroll through all of the card effects and you can see what's available. You're going to have to do some sleuth work. Some of these are not clear what they do. For example, what does card effect feeder rules do? Who knows? You might need to look it up in the code and try to understand what it does. This is an unfortunate result of modding the game and not having documentation. But for now, you can always use the obvious ones like card effect damage or card effect draw to make things that work. You can also test out some of the other ones for yourself and see what they actually do. So we're adding card effect damage in. Besides effect state type, there's a few other things you're going to want to see. You're always going to want to have target mode. Target mode is who the card targets. You can tab complete this to get an enum, so target mode dot, and then it'll show you a list of all of the things that you can target. For example, you can target the last attack character, you can target the pyre, You can target the weakest unit on the floor, etc. We're going to target the room. Where's room? Here. We're going to target the room. So the whole room is going to be hit. We don't really want to hit the whole room with our damage. That seems bad. Let's just hit the other team. So we're going to type in target team type equals, and then we autocomplete because, again, autocomplete is our big friend. And heroes. We're only going to target heroes. Note of caution. In this game, you are the monster. You are the monster. You're fighting the heroes. So just like in real life, you are the monster. Sorry. Bad joke. I apologize. That was uncalled for. Anyways, the last thing you'll need to know about Card Effect Data Builder, besides all of the target filters, of which there's many, you can feel free to take a look. You can target specific subtypes, bosses, etc. You're going to want to look at params. Each card effect type has specific params they use, and the params do specific things. There's no way to tell from here what those params are, but I'm going to tell you right now that param int is the usual one. Param int is give me a number. So card effect damage asks for a number, and I say, hey, card effect damage, have a number. Your number is 999. So we're going to do 999 damage to the room, but only to heroes. That's the enemies. Again, we're the monsters. If you go over here into your decompiler, you can look at your class and you can search using Command F for the word param. And then you can go over all of the params and you'll see get param int right here. So you can know what it uses. This one says self-target, that doesn't count. Targets, that doesn't count. If you see anything that says param on these, then that is referring to something that the card can do. So you can go ahead and research which of the params a random action can do. So for example, is freeze card a good example? I don't know if freeze card's a good example. Let's go with apply status effect. That one's pretty complicated if I recall correctly. Add status effect. So here's param, and you can see that it takes a boolean and does something with the boolean. You can see that it takes a number. You can see that it takes param status effects. That's a list of all the status effects that it applies, except it can only be one long. It takes a random number. There's a lot of things that you can do with it, and you can learn that by searching for param in one of the card effect functions, and then reading to see wherever it says get param something. So that's how you can figure out which params do what. The other thing you can do is you can go ahead and take a look using Unity Asset Studio or another function to look at what the cards are doing inside of the game. It's a bit touch and go. It's hard to get a handle on it, but you can do it. That's not covered in this tutorial, though. So, after we've done the effect builder, there's a bunch of other things that you can... So we're done with this here for now. So damage is done. There's a bunch of other things you can do. For example, there are, if we type builders in here, you'll see that there's traits. Traits can be added to cards. Effect triggers can be added to cards, and character triggers can be added to cards. To be clear, effect triggers do things when something happens in the battlefield. Trigger builders do things when something happens to your card, specifically. And you can attach an effect onto those. We won't cover those right now, but they do also have nice tutorials in the Monster Train modding Discord. So go ahead and check those out when you have some time. Trait builders is another thing. We're going to go ahead and build one of those right now. So same way, lots of tab completing. We just type new a lot, and then we press space and we tab complete, tab complete, tab complete. Eventually we get to the point where we're making trait state type. And now we can go ahead and look at the types of traits. And we go, this one is called card trait. So card trait, And you can see there's things like freeze, exhaust. Exhaust is consume. You've got intrinsic, which makes it show up in your hand first. You've got juice, that's double stack. You've got permafrost. You've got retain, which is holdover. All sorts of beautiful stuff here to take a look at. I encourage you all to go into here and play around and see what everything does. We're going to go ahead and add ignore armor. That's piercing. So that ignores any armor on the enemy and just pierces straight through and hits them. Then we need one last thing to finish off our card. Go to the end of the semicolon. There should only be one semicolon here in this entire thing so far. And just type card.build and register. So that will build the card and register it with the game so that the game knows, hey, this card exists, it should be shown, it should be in this pool. If you've attached it to a clan, you can attach it with clan name here, or clan ID. And so you can attach it so that it only shows up for specific clans. For now, we're clanless. So this is done. We'll go back to here. Remember how I said in iInitialize we need to set up our card, so we will go ahead and type nyanspell.make. And that makes our card. That's how you make a simple spell card. Okay, we're gonna motor on, because we've taken some time, and we're going to go ahead and make a quick monster card as well. So, new item, class. We've made this class. We're going to rename it. What are we going to rename it to? We're going to name it to Nyan Unit. Okay. So to make a unit card, we basically do the same thing. I'm going to go ahead and copy things for the sake of quickness. But a unit looks something like this. I have messed up already. Right, I need card data builder here. Doop. This is like one of those cooking shows where they pre-prepared everything in advance and it's hiding behind the scene and it's already cooked. So even if they mess it up, you'll never be able to tell. Except somehow I messed it up anyways. We got to go ahead and click all the red squigglies. We don't need to add a unit to the mega pool. If we do, it'll show up in every card reward, or could show up in every card reward. We can also set the rarity. We'll set it to rare. Importantly, there is card type. Card type has to be set to cardtype.monster. There's a few card types. Spell is the default. Monster is for monsters. Junk is junk. Status effects, if I recall correctly. There are blights, and invalid cards are for bugs. Don't worry about those. You'll probably be using mostly spell and monster. You can also make your own card types if you want, but this is what we got for now. So we're going to go ahead and do monster. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to make an effect builder. You remember this guy from before. This is whatever the cards do. We're going to use our tab complete to tab complete a whole bunch of things. And then once that's ready, we have effect state type. And the type of effect that you want to use is called card effect spawn. Oop, not spawn monster. Not spawn hero. Again, monster. We're the monsters. Card effect spawn monster. Then you want target mode. For target mode, every monster in the game uses target mode dot drop target character, which allows you to choose a spot on the field to put your monster in. You can also do this for spell targeting. If you do other types of target modes, spawning monsters might not work correctly. Usually in that case, it just spawns it in the back of the room. So feel free to try that out, but it doesn't. There's not a lot of code there that actually supports it. So you're going to be out of luck most of the time, unfortunately. After that, we also want a param. Remember how I said param? There is something called param character data builder. So we are going to add param character data builder to add our character. So we go tab complete to get a new character data builder. This was where we can build our character. So character data builder is like card data builder or card effect data builder. What we're looking for is all of the information for a character. The important ones are character ID. Character ID is required. We'll call it NyanCat unit. Also, I'm going to change this picture. We are also going to give it a name. It's going to be NyanCat. Size. We're going to give it a size. It's going to be 2. We're going to give it some health. Health is elite. And we're going to give it some attack damage. And that's going to be 333. Don't ask why. And lastly, we need an asset path, which leads to a PNG. You can also import in spine animations. That's a different tutorial. There's a tutorial on the GitHub. Again, you can go to the Monster Train modding Discord if you want to get links to the GitHub and if you want people to help you out with getting started modding. For now, we're just going to use static pings because it takes a long time to make an animation, unfortunately. We're going to go ahead and just call this nyanunit.ping. That's the one I have prepared. So this is all it takes to build a unit. It's just like the previous one. Oops. We'll rename this to card because I feel like calling it card, but we can call it anything. So card, we got to remember to build and register. Always build and register. I don't know why that tab completed to something weird, but there it is. The name and card does not exist. Sure it does. It's right there. Card, build, and register. Okay, I have done something wrong at some point here. Oh, yes. This needs to be within a public static void function. Almost forgot. See, I forget this stuff all of the time, even though I've made well over a couple hundred cards already. You will also forget it all of the time. This is why you should always have your reference material just off screen so you can look at it and figure out what you're doing wrong. All of my code, as well as sample code from other mod authors, is up on GitHub. You should also put your code publicly up on GitHub. That way other people can use it as reference. This is just being polite, honestly. You don't have to do it, but it's polite. It's nice. Everyone will like you better. So now we have the 2 cards. We're going to go back here. We're going to make the unit as well. Now we have the unit made. For the purposes of this testing, we're also going to add a patch. The patch is going to be a patch that allows us to add the cards to the starting deck. So we're going to go ahead and add a Harmony patch. Type of... we're going to hack into the save manager to setup run. Setup run is the convenient function that adds things at the beginning of the run. So we can hijack it and add our own cards in as well. Harmony patches are covered in the previous tutorial. If you haven't seen them, do check it out. Mark spent a lot of time going over it, did a real good job. Highly recommend it. If video tutorials are not your thing, again, tutorials exist on our wiki, on the GitHub, on the Discord, all over the place. Well, maybe not all over the place. Didn't mail one to you in the postal service. So here's what we do. We have created a postfix patch. We attach that and we use add card to deck. We grab our card from the custom card manager. So if you remember at the beginning, a long time ago, I talked about how there's managers and builders. We've been using the builders to build new cards. When we register them, they go into the managers. There's a bunch of managers. Check out the GitHub for more details. For now, custom card manager, we're going to get card data by ID. And now we can use the IDs that we entered in. If you remember all, we had IDs right here, card ID. They're useful. They're useful right now. Again, red squigglies, just click on it so that it adds the correct thing up top. And we're going to go and copy that and add in Nyan unit as well. And that should be everything that we need to do in here. Let's get a little template set up so that we can add in our cards to the actual game. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go into Program Files, we're going to go into Steam, we're going to go into Steam Apps, we're going to go into Workshop, and we're going to go into Content. Remember 1102190? You're so familiar. We're going to make ourselves a mod folder in here. The mod folder, we're going to call it NyanCat mod. No, just NyanCat is fine. And in here, we make a new folder and we call it Plugins. We're not going to upload this to the Steam Workshop. This is just for you. So this will be a local mod. In Plugins here, we don't have to do anything yet except for copy in our pings. So I have some images over on the side. If everything has worked correctly, the images will all get in properly. So let's hope it does. The last thing we're going to do before we do that is we are going to change the properties here. We're going to go to Build in the properties. Down here where it says Output Path, we're going to browse to the correct path. So we're going to go to the place that we just went, which unfortunately doesn't show up here. Well, no, it doesn't show up there. So again, Program Files, Steam, Steam Apps, Workshop, Content, 110, blah, 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 blah. Here's our NyanCat. Here's our plugins. This is our folder. That's where we're building to. You only have to do this once. So it's really useful to do that rather than having to copy your DLL back and forth every time. When you're done that, save that off, close it down. We should have everything. We have the images, we have the build thing, we have our code. If everything goes well, nothing will crash. Something usually crashes. Nonetheless, we'll try it out. We'll hit Build Solution up at the top. It says right here, Build Solution succeeded. It went into our Steam Workshop. It's down here. Let's give it a try. So we'll go ahead and launch Monster Train. Now, if everything went well, Monster Train should load up just fine, and we should be able to see our... Oh, hello. Wow. Secret Halloween stuff. I don't know if I'm supposed to be showing this right now. Well, that's fine. Well, we'll edit this out if I can't show it. So in here, there is a bunch of items, and you'll see that there is indeed NyanCat right here. It's set to on. So NyanCat does exist. All we're going to have to do is we're going to start a run. Don't ignore the white square. That was me testing something. And now, if everything went well when we start this run, NyanCat and its related cards should be in our deck. And here they are. Here is our Nyan spell, and here is our Nyan unit. You can see how attack was replaced by the item. Traits add in their own text automatically. If you use a trigger, you'll see that the text is also added in automatically for many of the triggers. Let's go ahead and try out a battle and see if we can load in the unit correctly. Hope it doesn't crash. Real hope it doesn't crash. That would be embarrassing. Oh, this Halloween stuff is real cool. So here's our Nyan unit. We'll pull it out. You can see it has a unit preview right there. And now we have NyanCat. NyanCat, of course, very Halloween themed themselves. Okay, well, we didn't make it to the spell. The spell was unfortunately bottom decked. But if we used the spell, it would in fact do 999 damage to all of the enemies. So you can try this out for yourself and complete that as an exercise for the user. That's it for the tutorial. Hope you all can join us on the Discord in the modding section. There's a lot of friendly modders down there. There's a lot of new modders down there. We're all working at this together. Still lots of features that we haven't implemented that we're gonna implement. Still a lot of things that you can help with. Still a lot of things that you can do. I don't know. Come by. Come make something cool. It'll be fun. Thanks, everyone, and we'll see you all later. Get him, Nanket. Kapow! That's the sound of Nyan.